Do I think these figures hold up? Do I think these figures fit in with the Vintage Kenner Star Wars line? Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Here today we have a long overdue review of a set of figures from a toy line created by a Star Wars enthusiast and toy collector who decided to take matters into his own hands and design and create a line of figures based on, and really to be a continuation of, the Kenner Star Wars line called the Next 17. Now these figures are factory made, so they are not 3D printed, and they are meant to fit right in with your vintage Kenner Star Wars toys. Before we jump into the review, I did want to go over a couple of the other bits that you see here in frame, so we will do that now and then move right over into the figure review. Kicking things off here with what I would consider a pretty thoughtful piece to this offering, we have a vintage action figure checklist. Now, anyone that grew up in the 80s and the 90s, we were accustomed to seeing this, whether it be on card backs or in catalogs. And I will say that opening up this package today and pulling this checklist out, it definitely got me in the mood and got me excited for this toy line. If you look towards the bottom of the card, you will see the entire line listed out in number and letter form. Here today we are going to be taking a look at number 95, Jaquille, number 100, ObiWan, the Tatooine Arrival, number 101, Hollow Luke in Jabba's Palace, and L3, the Black Baby Wampa. Next up, another nice little surprise, we were given a couple of dioramas. This looks to be the background to the Emperor's throne. And if I flip this around, we have what I think is just a hallway in the Death Star, possibly part of the trash compactor scene. Pretty cool stuff. And I think these are nice little touches that you don't always get these days with stuff you find in big box retail. I will put this back here one more time, the checklist, because I did want to highlight that the actual card itself has a little sheen to it. It's laminated, so if this is something that you want to frame or hang up and mount, or really just display in some sort of way, whether it's wall mountable, on some sort of stand next to the figures, this is a very displayable piece. It's quality, it's not going to break or bend easily, and it's going to fit in perfectly with any of these figures from this line. On to the figure review we go. First up, we have a humanoid from the icy planet of Tula, originally a spy and assassin for Lady Valerian. We have a whippet named Jaquille. Aesthetically, I think this figure looks fantastic. I think this is pretty much exactly what you would expect if he was made in Kenner form. You've got that pronounced forehead and those bowed cheekbones, the retractable eyes, which, if we take a closer look here, you can see are painted black. Paint lines are clean. I think whippets actually could have blue retractable eyes as well. You've got the tusks there, the sculpted fur, which is textured. And also, I will say, holding this figure in my hand, he's got some weight to him. He doesn't feel cheap, whereas I think with the Kenner figures, I think were pretty hollow. This does not feel hollow. It also feels like a pretty malleable plastic. And as you can see, moving on to some articulation, we've got 5 points here, classic 5 points of articulation for this figure. Both arms rotate all the way around. And both legs actually impressively rotate all the way around. Joints feel good. You can see his belt pouch here clearly moves. It looks like you can take this off. It looks like it should be removed, but it fits so perfectly I don't really want to mess with it right now. But nice looking belt pouch. You can see down at his feet peg holes for display stands. Paint lines nice and clean, just about everywhere. Get a closer look at the tusks there. Back of his dome. You can see the fur sculpt throughout. Really nice. Got his knife here, a little dagger. Fits right into his hand pretty easily. And I think Jaquille here makes a welcomed addition to any Jabba's Palace display. Next up, we have the Jabba's Palace Luke Hollow. I believe this figure is supposed to glow in the dark. I did not test that yet. And judging by the checklist, he should have come with a lightsaber. Mine did not, but that's okay. Taking a closer look at him, you can see this is made of a translucent plastic. Let's get you a closer look at his face sculpt there. Pretty nice. As far as articulation goes, his legs come about 90 to the front. And as far back as they could possibly go, given his robe. That's about it. Arms all the way around. Head gives you a swivel, exorcist style, all the way around. I'm actually really digging this figure too. I'm a glow-in-the-dark kind of guy, but I'm very picky when it comes to clear plastic sculpts because you can't really always appreciate them, but the sculpt definitely comes through on this figure. And I wouldn't mind him with a lightsaber, to be honest. Even though he does not need one as a hologram, but still. Next, no pun intended, we have the Tatooine Arrival ObiWan figure. My visceral reaction to this figure is, it looks like it's the same sculpt as the figure we just reviewed. Why don't we get him in frame here? Luke Hollow. So yeah, I mean, I think the body sculpt is exactly the same. And then of course, the difference is the head sculpt. Taking a closer look at ObiWan here. That is a really nice head sculpt. A very nice retro-inspired head sculpt. I am a stickler for the level of detail that, or as I say to some of my friends, the level of retro crappiness that we've all come to know and love and appreciate. The level of retro detail on some of these retro-inspired figures these days, there's a fine line between too much and too little. I think too little, you're borderline not in knockoff land. Too much, you're in TVC land, and of course that has an audience of its own. I think that the head sculpt here on this guy fits right in with the vintage Kenner stuff just fine. Give him a little exorcist action. Articulation will be exactly the same. Same deal. Very nice. And last, but certainly not least, last spotted somewhere in the northern ice plains of Hoth, I don't know, the black baby Wampa. Yes, folks, the black Wampa does exist. Take a look at this little guy. He is awesome. I really like this figure a lot. Articulation-wise, his arms go all the way around. And similar to our lipid friend Jaquille, got full leg sweep on both legs. His head obviously does not move, that's sculpted into the plastic, but check this out. We have horn articulation. Both horns come all the way forward to the front of his face, and then all the way to the back of his head. How cool is that? And the horns, I will say, do not feel too loose when you move them, and they don't feel too tight. They feel just right. Really cool little figure here. He's got his bone in hand. Paint lines on his eyes and inside his mouth are incredibly clean. You could see a little pink hue there in the mouth. Nice touch. See his paws on the inside. Really cool looking figure. Peg holes, of course. I would love to get an adult version of this. I think that would be incredibly awesome to have. But here you go, folks. Black baby Wampa. Okie dokie, folks, that is going to do it for this figure review. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Do I think these figures hold up? Do I think these figures fit in with the Vintage Kenner Star Wars line? I absolutely do. From the paint to the sculpt to the scale and everything in between that was discussed here today, I think these figures are a fantastic addition and continuation to the original Kenner line. And I am excited to see what the next 17 does in future waves. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think. As you can see here, the next 17, all of its information is right in front of you. So be sure to check them out on all platforms. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will catch you on the next video.